So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Mr. Gary James Knight.
Hey guys, Gary James here.
Gary James Knight.
Yeah, so I know I got a bit of an ego with a hyphenated name, but all you need to know about me is I like airplanes, business, and meeting cool people. Yeah, so a few years ago, I was in real estate in Tampa, and I cracked the code on some pretty cool things.
This is cool to me. I mean, I'm a salesperson, but he sells houses on Facebook.
Yeah, I was really one of the first people to really do that consistently. It got me in front of a lot of people in business in my local area. I started meeting people, and then one day I traded all that in to sell airplanes, which was a long dream of mine.
We're gonna go flying with this bad boy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I sell the A5. It lands on water. It's pretty much the most fun you can ever have in the world. And now I'm just introducing you to all the people that I've met along the way. Hey, so it's been a while since I put a new video together, and I didn't want to do another one of those like high flashy you know, hey, look at me videos sort of things. I wanted to do something a little bit different, something that was actually a little more product in depth about the A5, and so I just came up with, you know, I've been flying this thing for almost 2 years now, and there's a lot of things that I realize people don't really know about both Icon and about the A5, and I wanted to do a video that kind of gets into the specifics of things. Now, challenges with that, I don't even like call myself a real professional pilot. The A5, and I get into that a little bit in the video, but I'm definitely not an engineer, and I'm definitely not a mechanic, and I'm doing this video completely extracurricular. So the thoughts and opinions that you see, quick disclaimer, not thoughts and opinions of Icon aircraft. They're my impressions, my personal impressions on the A5, and what really are my 11 favorite things about it. And so I just wanted to put together a video because this gets more into the operational side of the airplane, and I think that that is a little more relevant than the flashy music, scene, cool shot, hey, look at me, I'm flying an A5 video. And I thought this was just a little more appropriate. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you do have a question about the plane, drop it in the comments and I'll be happy to answer, or maybe you will give me an idea for another video. All right, sound good? All right, guys, enjoy the video. My top 11 things that I think are underrated about the Icon A5.
All right, so first item on my list of things that I think are underrated about the A5. It's my favorite. I'm not going to do that whole build-up thing. This is like actually my favorite item on this list. So these windows in the A5, we don't really talk about this a lot. And you'll notice it if you actually watch a lot of our videos, but we don't actually point this out. But these windows are actually removable. You can fly this airplane with the windows in or out. And it's not just a small window. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You unlock the canopy, then you push it up just like this. It's not that much effort to get it to go up once it's unlocked. And then you reach inside. There is a little latch right there. You grab this latch, make sure you got a good grip, and the window just slides out. You can fly with the window out just like that. There's a little deflector that you throw in. I don't want to do it while I'm holding the window. There's a little deflector that you throw in, and you can, there's bags so that these windows can go in. They'll fit in the back. I'll show you that in a second. But then you put the canopy down and you're flying with your elbow out the window. It's unreal. All right, cool. So I got both windows out, 1 and 2, and then it takes a couple seconds. You just throw them in these bags right here. And then what you do once you take the windows out, you grab this little wind deflector and it goes on the outside and it just snaps right into place. And that helps prevent buffeting. And then there's enough space actually inside the airplane behind the seats to go ahead and throw these windows back and then rest them on the floor like that. So that's 1, and that's 2. And then hook up the headrest there. Then you can just step right on in. Close the canopy. Lock. And then my favorite thing in the world, sit there and fly with my elbow hanging out the window. I think it's one of the most understated things about flying this airplane is you're sitting there flying and your elbow is out of the window like a Jeep Wrangler. It's absolutely wild. So the second thing that I wanted to bring up on my most underrated list when it comes to the A5 is actually, it's a little more philosophical, if you will. It's a little sappy. I don't care. I'm an airplane nerd. Like, there is no cutting around that. Ever since I was old enough to look up and saw stuff in the air, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this, one of the reasons that it's tough to work in aviation is because you kind of have to be a super nerd to be really good at it. And so you end up, talking about your job way too much. It's kind of it's one of the reasons that, like, the minute you meet a pilot, you know it, because it's the first thing they tell. Oh, I'm a pilot. Yeah, they love talking. We like talking about ourselves. We like talking about what we do. We just, have a tough time acknowledging how much of a nerd we are. And one of the reasons I love this plane is because when I would invite people to go flying after I got my license, they were kind of excited because of the mystery of it. Flying a small plane is not something that a lot of people do. But when I started flying this, I had a lot of people who never cared about aviation start asking me to go in the air in this thing. And so having this as a mechanism to that people who don't care about airplanes get excited about and share something that I'm excited about, that's very, very, very gratifying, and it's one of the most underrated things that I think is that the A5 is unique to. Okay, and the third most underrated item on the A5, I actually like to talk about the fuel. This is the fuel cap right here, and in the fuel cap, under the fuel cap I should say, the siphon for the sump is right there. So, it's actually pretty cool. You can take the syringe that comes with the plane, attach it to the sump, and then, so you take the syringe that comes with the plane, you hook it up to that sump that siphon that goes to the bottom of the fuel tank, pull the syringe, and that allows you to check the fuel that's sitting at the bottom of the fuel tank. And then you just push it back in, and then you're done. And then now your hands don't smell like avgas when you're getting ready to go flying. So of course that's just more so a feature, that whole something, it's cool. But what I think is actually underrated in terms of the A5 when it comes to fuel is the fuel burn itself. Most of my flights I'm burning 4 gallons an hour. One of my best flights I did 1.8 hour, 8-hour flight. I wasn't trying to save, trying to be economical, and I did 3.88 gallons an hour once I did the math on it. It was really, really cool. So it has a 20-gallon tank. That's good for 4.5 hours of flight time with a half hour reserve. I am never going to sit in this plane for that long with the engine running in one day in straight shot. So usually what I do is I put 10 gallons in. That's 60 pounds. I still have 370 pounds left of useful load, and that's an hour. That's 2.5 hours of flight time. So. And that's with, being really, really, really practical with my numbers. So anyway, I think the fuel burn is so underrated because it allows you to save a lot of weight when you fly, and that's what I like about it. So one of the other underrated things, this is coming in at number 4, is going to be operator ease of use. So one of the things that I don't think is talked about enough is how much thought has gone into literally every single component that is designed around this plane. So, like, for instance, hope that this caught your attention because it looks weird. This front nose gear is a free caster, 360-degree free caster system. So that means that on the ground, I don't need a tow bar, I don't need anything. I can just grab this handle, and as long as the brake is off or the chocks are off, I have no problem pushing this thing around. With the wings folded, the way that it is, it actually has a center of gravity is just over those main wheels. So what that means is it takes very little effort to actually lift the nose up. And that front nose wheel is also centered, self-centering as well. So with no weight on it, it centers straight back. And that's just one of the things that I like to use to demonstrate how much thought has gone into how this thing is going to be used. When it's on the water, you know, as another example, when it's on the water, this is the water line's going to be right about here with the Seawing, so you can actually use this as a point to get in and out of the plane when you're on the water. Have your feet dangling in the water like that. What's also cool is you can use this as a seat when you're on the water. If you guys see my Instagram videos, you know I love doing that. This is, you know, I have fishing rods. I suck at fishing, but this is where I actually will pull the rods out and throw the line in the water. The other thing that I think is underrated about ease of use is actually just the layout of the cockpit. You know, as good as this whole thing looks, it serves so much of a functional purpose. Thanks to the Rotax, you're not worried about your mixture. It's just your throttle. The ECU on the motor manages your mixture as well for you. Everything is organized in a hierarchy, and you're never going to get lost in here. And one of the reasons is because we didn't just put this, you know, flat panel. As cool as and as good as this whole design looks, it all is actually makes sense. So you have all your gauges on one side, right? And they're all organized in terms of what you're going to use most to what you're going to use the least. And it's the same thing with your hardware. It's what you're going to use the most to what you're going to use the least. So again, ease of use, I don't think I can overstate here how much thought and energy has gone into making certain that the operator behind the controls is not overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on here and actually able to enjoy the actual flying. And that's because so much thought has gone into the exact level of energy that it takes to stay on top of this airplane, and making certain that this is enabling you to stay on top of your airplane instead of coming in as a hindrance and adding confusion. This exactly is just another element of what makes this whole airplane manageable. So coming in at number 5 is the service network. So I'm here in Austin, Texas right now. This is a sales demo plane, this is a sales demo plane, that's an owner plane, that's an owner plane, okay? So one of the things that come up, and this is just a reality of aviation, guys, airplanes break. I've literally seen a mechanic on every single airplane except for that one, because that one just came in today. I've seen a mechanic on every single airplane in this hangar, including all of these. And that's a reality. Like, guys, this is, you know, you actually want somebody to tell you the truth. Airplanes break. They don't always work perfectly. And that's, you know, it's not if something's going to break, it's when. But and airplanes have a very, very high standard of maintenance. They're not like cars. You know, if you start your car and something sounds funny, and then 15 seconds later it goes away, you're like, oh well, I'm going to go to work, right? You don't do that with airplanes. So, and that happens with every single one of these out here, right? But what's cool is we put a lot of energy into making certain that our owners have access to service for when something like that happens. And these guys right here, this is Chuck's aircraft, right? This is what I'm talking about when I say level of service. Almost anyone who's licensed can fix a plane, right? But it's just like any of these planes out here, you need someone who's trained and understands the product in order to do it correctly. And one of the things that I really, really appreciate about Icon Aircraft is they take that extremely seriously. Even though anyone who has the right license is legal to work on this airplane, just like our airplane, just like this airplane, you want someone who's actually been trained. And the guys in that hangar that I just showed you have actually been trained on our aircraft by our factory. So what happens is when we have a new owner, and a lot of times we come out of our own pocket for this, right? When we have a new owner, if they don't have someone who has been trained on the systems in this aircraft in order to be able to confidently repair it, we will train them at our factory at our expense to make certain that that they have capable hands, able and ready to fix the plane, so that when something happens that's not expected, someone who actually knows the plane and isn't just figuring out what they're doing is actually going to be able to put hands on and on the plane and troubleshoot with us to make certain that the problem is resolved. And to my knowledge, I think we're the only people in the light sport category to do that. So it's something I'm very proud of, and I think it's kind of understated in the same sense like cars. If you get a brand new Mercedes, the last place you're going to take it is to the mom and pop shop that they work on cars that are 10, 20 years old typically. No, you're going to take it to the dealership, and you want the dealership to fix it, and that's what the warranty's for and all that. But anyway, so that's something I generally think is understated about Icon, is our service network and what it means for our owners. So item number 6 is going to be the interior. Before we really get into the interior here, I'm going to show you actually how to get in. Getting in it's pretty simple. You got the Seawing here, right? I put my knee up on the Seawing, grab here, step up, all the way up, lean here, and then I step straight down onto the floor. So then here's another hand hold. Don't ever put pressure on this, but here's a hand hold. Grab my other foot, and then boom, I'm inside. Okay, and if you want to see what the space feels like, now I have a iPhone 11 Pro Max, so I'm on the super wide, and here it is. I've got a little bit of armrest here, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the ergonomics and the design. It's a surprisingly comfortable airplane. Turn the master on so you can see a couple things, but this is a Garmin 796, and this is pretty basic. I mean, it has a lot. It has everything you need. Anytime that you have frequencies on here, like if I pick an airport, I select it, I go to the frequency tab, and I select a frequency that I want, it'll drop here into the radio for me. So that's cool. It also has my charts in here. So all my VFR charts, and that's boring stuff, but my overall point is I just love this interior. This is such a manageable airplane. I mentioned that before, but it's so manageable that when I'm in here, I'm not worried about it. It takes very little to stay on top of this airplane, and I can enjoy this view. And this is what I love. You're not seeing that propeller. You're not seeing, you're not stretching your neck to see over the nose. There are next to zero obstructions to your view, and you get this great view, and you do this, and you fly windows out, and it gives you this experience at that point. And all of this is, it's cool to understand the technical stuff behind it, but because this is aesthetically pleasing, and I'm a fancy person, like I like nice things, this is aesthetically pleasing, plus this amazing view. Like all of this comes together, and it works so well. And you end up with this just incredible experience every time. I love flying this plane because of how this literally adds to how good I feel on a daily basis when I'm inside this airplane, and a lot of it has to do with the view that's intentionally designed and the interior that's intentionally designed this way as well. All right, got the canopy up for number 7, right? Okay, number 7 on my list of things that I think are understated about this airplane is the fact that it is an all carbon fiber construction. Usually in our business, you hear the term carbon composite. What that means is that it's carbon mixed with another material. This is straight carbon. Now, obviously, what you're seeing in here, most of this is just pure aesthetics, right? So if I zoom in, you'll see a lot of carbon fiber, and that's carbon fiber, and that's carbon fiber. But that's just aesthetics. Those are just panels, right? If I actually lift up this panel, this floor panel right here, pull it up like that, and remove it, this is the structure of the airplane, guys, and that is carbon fiber as well. Like, you see the actual carbon fiber. And it's not layers of carbon fiber mixed in with fiberglass. It's actually carbon fiber through and through, start to finish. It's one of the things that we've actually gotten a lot of attention for in the business, is the level of carbon fiber. The wings are all carbon fiber. Even this wing spar right here, carbon fiber. So now carbon fiber is lighter than aluminum, but it's also stronger, but it's also extremely expensive to manufacture. So the materials itself aren't that expensive. It's the labor that goes into actually making it. The amount of labor in carbon fiber just in our airframe alone is over 3,000 hours. So it is it is a feat, and it's something that's really, really cool, and it's something that we had to get very, very good at in order to pull this off. So again, I just think that the carbon fiber itself is a dramatically understated part of this airplane. All right, so number 8. I want you guys to notice, see that little bulge in the wing? I want you to pay attention to that for a second. So this bulge right here is called a wing cuff. And if you watched that video ever of Icon spin resistance, that's part of how that magic happened. Obviously, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mechanic, and some days I don't even consider myself a pilot because this thing is such a manageable airplane. And I use the word manageable on purpose. I don't use the word easy. I don't like that word when describing this airplane. And it's not because you can't describe it as easy. I've heard a lot of people describe it as easy. I almost cringe every time I hear it, because that can put you in a bad state of mind. If you think it's easy, you don't think that you can. Who messes up something that they think is easy, right? You know, when you think that something can't happen to you, that's usually when it does, which is why I stay away from the term easy. But because this is such a manageable airplane, and it is designed to fly, and it's tough to describe this in a video, but I'll put it this way. When you're in the air in this, it gives you feedback. So it's almost like it's talking to you. I don't know if any of you have ever driven like a high performance car on a track. A lot of high performance cars, when you actually, try to give it as much horsepower as it's got, right? The back end wants to come out, or if you throw it in a turn, oversteer, understeer. There comes a point that the car is not controllable, right? And the better a car is designed or tuned, the closer to that edge you can get before it starts to lose control. And it's the same principle here. This airplane is so well thought out, and it's designed to fly so well that as you're putting inputs into it, telling it to bank left or nose down or nose up or whatever, or adding power, taking out power, the airplane, it responds to every single one of those inputs positively. One of the things that I was most impressed by, you see how the propeller's in the back of the plane, right? That means it's a pusher. And most of the time when you have airplanes that push, and I won't name names, but there's airplanes very similar like this that are built very similar way and has the same design characteristics in terms of the propeller is pushing you instead of flipped around forward and pulling you through the air. Most of the time when you fly an airplane like that, if you add power, because it's behind you, the torque will cause the nose to go down because of where the engine is situated. And if you pull power, the nose will tend to go up, which is kind of inverse of what you want. If I pull power, I want to I'm going to slow down automatically. And if I have a natural force that's pulling the nose up, I'm going to slow down even faster. And that's really not good when you're trying to land. This airplane, I had to actually think about it because you don't notice that effect just doesn't happen. A lot of that is because the engine is so close to the center of gravity. We got it so close, I should say the engineers got it so close, and they were so thoughtful of that effect when you are adding and taking power, especially in this type of configuration of an aircraft. They really nailed it. And they did that with everything on how this thing flies. I don't think there's in my opinion, there is no bad bug on how this thing flies. So just don't think it's easy. Just, make sure that you're very well of your own humanity, and this thing will be your best friend in the air, no problem. Okay, y'all, so number 9, right? I have to talk, this isn't something that we necessarily don't talk about. We talk about it. I just don't think we emphasize it enough. I don't think there is a way to emphasize this enough. This, what I'm touching right here, this is, you've heard me talk about it a little bit before. It's called the Seawing, right? The technical, I think the technical aeronautical term is Swanson, but we call them Seawings. And I would not like this plane 70% as much as I do if it didn't have these. And these are probably the single most useful element of this airplane. Now, what it does, you know, again, not an engineer, not a physicist, not a mechanic. Again, even some days I don't even think I'm a pilot, because this is not a real airplane the way that, you know, the jet is a real airplane. It flies, and it flies for fun, not for work. So that's why I don't really, most pilots I know work for a living. But these Seawings make it so that when you're on the water, you actually have something to be able to get in and out of the airplane with, and that is so understated. I've seen people in small seaplanes on the water trying to get in and out, and it is a pain in the butt. But this is when I will use the word easy. This makes it easy. I was on the water with a customer, his name is Grant. He's got no use of his legs, and he flies a Cirrus, and very, very, very cool guy. But we land on the water, and he goes, we got to carpe the diem on this and jump in. And it was the first time that I actually jumped out of the airplane into the water and then got back in. And I immediately regretted all the opportunities that I had to do it and didn't. So why am I still talking about this? All right, so what it does is this actually gives you more stability on the water. It keeps the plane from tilting too much on one side or the other. My point is, I cannot overstate the usefulness of these Seawings when you're on the water, and I could not imagine trying to have a small seaplane that allows you to you know, explore your environment without these. It just wouldn't be as fun. That's it. Number 10, almost done. Got one more thing. Number 10, right? Number 10 on the list of dramatically understated things about Icon, the merch. I love whoever we use to make our t-shirts and our hats. I'm a big fan. A lot of people don't like the fitted hats. We do have snapbacks now, but I've been wearing fitted hats since high school, so I'm a big fan of the fitted hats. This is one of the softest t-shirts I own. Even on my days off, I wear. I've never worked for a company or had a buddy who had a clothing line, and you know, I get free stuff. I have clothing lines that I order from, right? And their stuff isn't as comfortable as this. The Icon merch is, especially the t-shirts, they just knock it out of the park on their t-shirts. I'm such a fan of how these things fit and feel. Like they're my like fancy t-shirts. Like I hate working out in them because I don't want to like overwear it and overuse it, because like the gym is where I use my trash t-shirts that I don't want to. Anyway, you get the merch. I'm a big fan of the merch. I know that we have a website. I don't get a dime from them. I'm not making a commission on selling the merch, but the Icon merch, oof, I'm a big fan, especially the t-shirts. Get yourself an Icon t-shirt. It probably runs a half size small. So if you like a medium, this is a medium. If you like a medium that fits a little snugger than a medium, that's for you. And the large is like just a little, I think the large runs true, the extra large runs true. Anyway, that's my opinion. So this is it, number 11 on my list of things that I think are dramatically understated about the A5. All right, so the top item that I think is dramatically understated about the A5, cup holders. Right there, right where you need it. Ooh, and right where I need it, because this is where I keep my coffee, all right? And if you know anything about me, life is coffee. Coffee is life. So when I fly, I'm a morning person. When I fly in the mornings, I have my coffee. That's the best right there. Nice FBO coffee, right in my cup holder. Wonderful airplane. That's it, guys. That's really it for me. You know, this airplane is no more or less than it needs to be. It's a lot of fun. It's good looking. It's great to look at. You know, it allows me to share something that I'm passionate about with people who typically don't care. It flies great. You know, we put an insane amount of effort into going above and beyond for for people, and that's not just something that we say. You can see it when you actually look on our website. You see how extensive our service network is, and that's a representation of all the people that we've trained to put hands on this airplane for people who are in the wild. You know, something I missed when I was talking about the flying characteristics is because it's a monohull, it's not on two floats like most airplanes. They sit up high and they have one float on each side. This is essentially just one big float, so it's much more maneuverable in the water. It's so much fun. And then I mean, it's got these phenomenal cup holders that just like boom right there. Oh, more coffee. Moment of silence for all the airplanes that don't have cup holders these days. Anyway, that's it. I'm done being cheesy, guys. These are my 11 things that I think that are absolutely understated about Icon aircraft, and specifically the A5. And I hope that you have a better understanding about the airplane, how to use it, and more importantly, like, you know, how to have fun with it. Leave me suggestions in the comments below on what my next video should be. Remember, I am not a flight instructor. I am not a mechanic. I'm not an engineer. So, you know, what I'm sharing is just what I've absorbed. I probably misunderstood some of it and didn't explain it correctly. But just, you know, please just be a sensible human and realize that, you know, I'm very aware that I'm not perfect, and if you all want to blow me up in the comments for it, that's fine. I'm a big boy, I can take it, but I don't care. So that's all I got, guys. I hope that you got something out of this, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.